the second one, just about Keane Keeley. Listed amongst the replacements. It didn't look as if it was going to be that way late last time he came up.
No, I think he had a bit more of a scare than anything else. He recovered pretty quickly in the change room after the game. He's still a bit sore this morning, but he's obviously going through a few protocols now with the rehab, etc. But we're going to give him through to tomorrow. He's made such improvement. We're optimistic about that.
And just in relation to the team, are there things that you learned from the game last night, perhaps the way the Moray All Blacks played? Was it a kind of a lesson in terms of match play for those who were there, who weren't playing, the fellows who were observing?
Oh yeah, we've had a great meeting this morning of learnings with the test side and the side from last night, and feeding back to one another, and their understanding of what happened out there, and good learnings from the test team of what to expect and how they're going to implement those changes, etc. Through the group. So that's what it's all about, this tour, giving guys experience you don't know until you know, and it's great to have the other boys watching them have got the backs and really keen on making sure that they help them along their journey as well.
And in terms of the All Black team, your impressions of that side and what you're expecting from them?
Pretty good side. I know they've one or two injuries, and obviously so have we. But at the same time, I think they could pick 4 teams in New Zealand, and they will be unbelievably hard to compete against. So we're under no illusions what we're up against at the weekend. And like I've said to you before, any type of performance that we've had before where we've managed to get over the line, that won't do this weekend. I'm sure about that. Cheers.
Can I just clarify something about Keane? He's down as 18. Is he covering tight end? Is Finley covering loose end? Or is that?
Keane can play both sides. And so can Finlay, and they're both training that way as well.
Andy, when the All Blacks lost in 2018 and then beat Ireland in 2019, they made a point afterwards about how they owed one to Ireland on the back of the loss in Dublin. Similar scenario now in that they're well beaten last year. How can you guard your team against the fact that there's probably going to be an onslaught against you?
We've talked about it. We've witnessed it. So the history doesn't lie, doesn't it? So we that's why I've just said what I said before in regards to we know what's coming and what's going to be good enough and what's not going to be good enough. We expect them to be at the best, like we always do, But we obviously have a say in that, how we attack the game ourselves, and we're still going through the stages of preparation. We've a great hit out today. We've got a captain's run tomorrow to make sure that we keep on improving over the next couple of days, and make sure that we're ready for kick-off to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be.
When you say you've talked about, what sort of things has been said in terms of preparing yourselves?
Well, again, the team that took the field last night is not the team that's going to play at the weekend, but there's lessons to be learned. What really wins top level rugby is always going to be the same. Your set piece, our discipline was pretty poor last night. So there's been good chatting in and around that, and obviously the accuracy of our game in general. So all that needs to come to fruition under extreme pressure, and it's difficult to do, but we're in a good enough headspace to be able to attack that full on come the kick-off on Saturday night.
This is the only country Ireland have never beaten away from home. What would it mean to think about history?
Oh well, course, everyone's aware about it. Of course, we've talked about it and what it would mean to us, etc. But that's not going to make it happen, is it? You know, it's always about the nailing your detail and having a full understanding and full ownership of what that detail's all about. You know, and putting it all together and mixing that with the right emotions, etc. And then hopefully you put all the package together, and you know the opposition have a bit of an off day at the same time. You know, because you know all best laid plans for them and for us. But you've got to be adaptable and go with the change, because that's international rugby. It's not always going to go your way. So how we adapt when moments aren't quite swinging for us is pretty important as well.
Injury-wise from last night, anyone else? Like Jamie Hume, I think, might have limped off. How's he?
Yeah, it's not looking too great, but obviously we're only a few hours after the game, so people do tend to wake up pretty sore. But it's not looking great for him. He's a groin issue that we're going to get checked out MRI scan wise.
Everyone else okay?
Yeah, bumps and bruises, as to be expected.
I might just jump in here too, if it's all good. Your initial reaction to Scott Barrett being named at 6 today?
Well, we've come up against him at 6 before in the World Cup, and that worked. You know, so we're aware. Look, I watched his performance in the Super Rugby final, and I thought he was outstanding. His leadership's been exemplary all year round as well, so I think it adds to the strength of their pack.
This is a bit left field, I'm sorry, but if you could cast your mind back to your Wigan Warrior days, I know you mentioned that you perhaps were going to catch up with Dean Bell. Have you been able to do that?
His grandson, his 20-month-old grandson, has got COVID, so we catched up over the phone. It was great to catch up with him.
Any sage advice offered over that phone call?
Dean, I always phone like to speak to Dean to get some words of wisdom, etc. You know, he's a guy that I would follow to the end of the earth and back. You know, so I always like to speak to him.